Right off the bat, the UI is not a lot different from version 3.5, but there are some nice new things in version 4 that you should be aware of. So the first thing is you're going to get a status bar across where the archive is. So if you highlight any archive over on the left-hand side here, as you're doing that, you'll get a status, a most recent job status. So if you see a warning, for instance, with the A here, that means that there was an issue with an archive job that just ran. The most recent restore job ran successfully, so there's a green check mark. So this is a really nice, quick way to kind of really check any kind of status very quickly. If you take a look over at our Search Clips tab, this is new in 4.0, is the ability for you to see whether a clip has been metadata tagged or has a preview. So if you basically click on these items here, you'll see that, and as you hover over this, it'll tell you exactly what these icons are for. But this is a great indicator right off the bat as well as to whether an item has additional metadata added to it or whether there's a proxy available. So as you click on any one of the clips in this list here, in the Search Clips view, we'll bring up our newly enhanced HTML5 player, as well as all of the additional metadata fields and information on the right-hand side. So you notice that we've kind of shifted the player orientation from a vertical in version 3.0 to 3.5 back to more a horizontal type of orientation, which we think works nicer. People can actually look at their content and see the metadata right next to it without having to scroll up and down. And so this is a greatly enhanced feature. So so you can see your cue points or your clip notes. They're synonymous here. You can jump back and forth. I can add new cue points anywhere along the way if I want to, and enter a new piece of information. Maybe I want to call this, best, or whatever you want to do for adding a note. So when I do that, we have to reindex, so those won't show up right away, but we'll reindex those, and those will be available to search against shortly. The other thing that's new in version 4.0 is we have area of interests that we can actually identify. So you can mark in and mark out and create an area of interest and give that area of interest a title or a description. And so that's also sort of searchable as well. So you can search against all of this metadata, including the extracted metadata, which now has a dedicated button. So if you're used to using the extracted metadata exclusively and not necessarily doing much tagging, this is all available straight out of a dedicated window that pops up, which is really nice. And this is the thing that you can do. You can, really quickly and easily find specific metadata. So if I'm looking for the Cachillo Consad, location or whatever this was for this particular set of metadata in this clip, I can jump right to that very quickly and easily. So that's our latest and greatest, super duper HTML5 player. So those are some things that you might want to check out in version 4.0. Another new feature of version 4.0, which we think is going to be a great addition to everybody's workflows, is the ability to archive either Adobe or Avid projects directly through us parsing the project files of either of those applications. And so the way it works is you just go into the archive console, and this is going to be slightly different because it's going to be a ticketed archive, and very similar to doing an AAF or XML or EDL ticket-based archive. We're going to go and we're going to navigate for an AVB file. And the thing is, you don't have to export or do anything with that. It just has to be, we just have to be pointed to where an AVB project file resides. The audio and video tracks and all the associated media files do not have to reside in the same folder. So this is kind of interesting, is that you're just going to point us to where the project file is. The project file will tell us all the media files that are associated with the project, all the bins. It'll get broken down, and we'll be able to go and find those and do the archive. So I'll pick Avid first here. AVB project file is the thing that we're looking for, and I'll just navigate on my workstation here to find where I put that particular project file. Oops, wrong one. I want to go here, go to Avid, and I'll go to one of our samples that we received from a customer here. And you'll see warnings when we basically convert this ticket, because we don't have the media files associated, but if they were online and present, these would all be green check marks. But you'll see the basic construct here is that the project has all of various bins associated with it. So here's an online bin. It's got 853 items in it. The Final Cut bin for this particular project. There's a guide bin. There's a graphics bin. Each one of these will be listed separately with the number of files and the ones that we found. And obviously, once again, I don't have those media files online, but you get the idea is that we're able to actually identify those. If I want to view the file listing for this particular bin, which is the Battle of Britain graphics bin, this is where it's telling me these files reside, right? So that's why we can't find them, because they're on like a local C drive or whatever it may be. But we have the list of files is generated. These are picked files and a couple .movie files that were used in this project. So same thing applies to all the bins. One thing that we do as well, which is kind of cool, is we gather up all the actual physical project files. That includes the bins, the XMLs, all the stuff that is in the system, and we actually gather those up into one nice little listing here as well, and then those are archivable or backupable, however you want to call it. But the cool thing is that you can automate this. So the key here is that you can do, end of project archiving with a single button push. This single push of a button to get this list, and then run the entire job, so that your finished project can be archived and sent over to LTO, and then you can purge that stuff from your workstations, or from your SAN, or from your ISIS, or whatever it may be. Or you can set this up to be automated. So you can do basically nightly backup snapshots of your project, and all associated media files and everything else, all elements that go along with that project, including the project files themselves. So you can actually get a nightly backup of all that as a project might be, in progress. And that's a great tool to be able to, kind of have a DR copy of everything associated with a project as that project goes along day by day, in case something catastrophic was to happen. So you have that capability, and so those project files and everything else are going to be incrementally archived, and that's the key, is that all of our archives and restores are incremental by default. So when you set up an automated job to run every single night, and it continually looks to these same sources as its definition of what it's going to archive, we will go and look at those sources and see if there's any new files or any change files in that list, and we'll make sure that we only archive what's been new or changed. Last but not least, with version 4.0 is some of the new reporting capabilities and statistics monitoring that we provide. And so in the Clients tab here, you can go over to Logging and Statistics. And first off, you can actually check to see your system stats. So you can check CPU times and memories and processes that are running. So as I click on that, it does take a couple minutes to load. Well, that was pretty quick, actually. That was nice. So this gives you a graphical readout of and snapshot of what's going on in your system. So you can go to a high point here, and you can select it, and you can choose to see what processes are happening, what devices might be connected at that time, any kind of Ethernet activity or details that might be pertinent to kind of seeing what's going on your system. Current running processes are displayed, disk statistics, memory maps, swap space, CPU time. All these are available right from the UI now, so it's a single click. Go look at those. We also have our logs being revealed or available basically through the GUI as well. What's really nice about this is that either for troubleshooting purposes or just to be able to come in and see what's going on with the system is much simpler. Our support guys will be using this going forward. They won't be doing half as much command line sort of interrogation that they typically do. They'll be coming in here and they'll going in and looking at the logs. And for instance, if you do have a warning of any kind, I've got a backups log warning here. If I click on it, it brings me straight into this display here that shows me the warning with it highlighted. It says, hey, you don't have any backup of my catalog happening right now. There's no USB stick that I can write to. So this is a great a thing that will allow both end users, our resellers, and as well as customers to be able to, really kind of pinpoint and identify exactly what might be going on their system. And so you can close that up, and we've got a couple other bells and whistles, but that's really the highlights of version 4.0.